Brian Feister with me from Open Legend RPG. Welcome again, Brian. Thank you for putting up with all of that.
No problem.
So, Open Legend RPG, tell me is Open Legend RPG? Let's just start with the broadest question possible. What is Open Legend RPG?
Oh man, starting with the hard ones,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I'm by the end of this,
Um,
I'm gonna make you cry. Just FYI.
Chat. Let me know if I fixed it. I'm trying to turn my volume down. My input volume. I'm not sure. I said that was louder than you. So let's see. What is Open Legend RPG? That's a good question. Um, Open Legend is in the name. The name is a big part of it, right? So we're open both in terms of genre and also in terms of source. So a lot of games, they hide their content behind a paywall. And with Open Legend, I did not want to do that. So all the rules are there on the website,
Right.
and the oh no, I think they're saying that my volume, and I'm confused because it's moving itself. What the
Oh
heck?
no, I can't hear you.
Oh no. Uh, it's like the volume is there. Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. How about now? Good. All right. Let me try this again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Open Legend is open both in terms of genre and also source, right? So a lot of other games will hide their source behind a paywall, which is understandable. If you're writing a game and you want to get paid for it, that's fine. My actual vision with Open Legend is to focus a lot on actual content and uh, this one's too loud. This one's too quiet. This one's just right. Oh man, glad we got it figured out. But one of my goals is actually to focus a lot on content with the system in the long term. Because it's open genre, I'd like to do lots and lots of different content from campaign settings to adventures, all that kind of stuff. And kind of build out that way. And that's where I hope to have the company make its money.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool part is for those who are, who like to homebrew and write their own story, if you don't mind looking at the website, you can just check it out for free. If you do, in October, we're going to have our Kickstarter, which is going to print the first printing of the rules in hardcover format. So you can, of course, get that. There'll also be a PDF associated. And while I'm on that topic, I think for me, one of the things I'm super, super excited about that I always want to mention is we've got an amazing team of writers for a companion campaign setting called Amore's Dawn, which is going to go with along with the core rules as a sort of companion for the Kickstarter. And the people on there include Ed Greenwood. He's the creator of the Forgotten
Mm-hmm.
Realms. So Ed has a contribution in Amore's Dawn. And so too, we also have Matt Mercer, the GM from Critical Role. He's also contributing. We have John Wick, who wrote Seventh Sea RPG.
We're actually talking to John Wick tomorrow.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice, nice. That is awesome.
Hopefully, I'll be able to get things working by then.
Yeah. Tell him I said hi. He's been super busy, and I haven't been able to touch base with him just because I saw recently that he's like shooting a short film maybe or something for the Seventh Sea
Okay.
project, which is like super exciting. I'm really curious what he's up to
Awesome.
to with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I will drop it in the conversation. We'll see what happens.
um, But anyway, to tell a little bit about the story for people, Amoria's Dawn is a story of a resource-deprived sort of steampunk world. Imagine a city that's 100 miles wide and 5 levels tall. You have like airship yachts that the upper class sort of float above the smog in their airship yacht and all that sort of thing. Well, they've depleted all their resources and Let's see. Wait, I got people saying something about listening later to hear what Dom has to say. I'm not
What?
sure what that's about. Um, so anyway, the world basically has sort of depleted all their resources, and in an attempt to sort of solve the problem, they've opened this portal that has been closed for 100 years or so. That was formerly opened by some arcanists long ago, and they step through the portal into this other world, which is Amoria, and the namesake of the campaign. And it's this world of like these savage jungle elf tribes, and there are like three primary tribes. One of them, they're kind of like almost like a sci-fi-ish thing, because they do like bioengineering and genetic mutation, and they kind of skipped over the like machine age or the industrial age, and they have like an innate sense to be able to do like genetic stuff, right? And then and they have all these crazy mutants, and the city itself is alive and can respond, and sort of lives and breathes. And then you have these other guys that live in a swamp. They are dark. There's this dragon that has sort of polluted them and their minds with like this sort of nightmare energy. So they tap into the weave, and they're like these shamans that are all sort of strung out on drugs, and they're in the sort of spiritual realm and all that sort of thing. And then there's another one that are a little bit more like your sort of typical Tolkien elves, different but more shamanic, and kind of like the good version of the more evil, dark sort of shamanic people, right? So that's the theory, that's the overview, and so then I'm excited about it because we've got like some really, really great people contributing to it. So that's kind of my bit about that anyway.
That is awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, there's so much just in what we've talked about, just offline and stuff. Just what you have going on. There just seems to be so much going on with it. So, yeah, there's just a ton to dive into. I think we were talking about this before, and now that this interview is only going to be about an hour long, I've only got a limited amount of time. We'll go a little bit longer because we were started a little bit late, but yeah, it's definitely, there's so much to sort of unpack with this as I was going through, because you really have kind of covered so many of the bases. I mean, it is a new system, but in many ways it's not, right? It's got so many of the hallmarks of other familiar systems that it's not something that's going to be, and I think you kind of set it up this way, but it's not something that's going to sort of throw someone for a loop if they try and pick it up and learn it.
I love that comment because, and I've done a lot of interviews on this, and you're the first person that has actually commented on that aspect of the game. So I really appreciate that because, actually, yeah, that's actually very perceptive. That's something that I talk about a lot in my inner circle of developers and stuff and that sort of thing, which is that for me, in modern game design, and this is not at all to disparage the efforts of other game designers, but a lot of times you see what you might call like micro games, in the indie RPG scene nowadays. And for me, like that just doesn't jive well with my own preference as a gamer, because I actually for the last 20 years that I've been playing and primarily D&D, but every single world that I write from scratch, which is like this Amoria's Dawn is like the ninth or 10th or something world that I've written from nothing, and in each one I create my own character classes, my own feats, abilities, spells, all that kind of stuff, just because I want it to feel like really tailored to the experience and not borrow a lot of flavor, right? And so the way you just mentioned that it feels familiar, that's because one of my goals from a design perspective is not to put out something that's like flashy and wowy and is sort of like a kind of flash in the pan effect. I my goal, if this game succeeds, is that people will use it just like they use D&D and Pathfinder as like a standby role-playing system. I just got tired of spending 6 hours a week cross-referencing all my spells as a wizard in Dungeons and Dragons, you know what I mean? Like, so this is like a low prep version, but then, you know, it's a low prep RPG with like lower complexity, but then like you have Dungeon World over here where, for me, I wanted more complexity than what Dungeon World gave me. Right. You know what I mean? So right. So that's kind of like, it aims to be in the middle, but it hit that sweet spot where people want to play it for a long time. That's like my big goal, you know, with the game.
Yeah, it's designed to be. If people haven't looked at it yet, the website has all the rules are on the website. All the core rules are on the website. So definitely go and check it out. Again, openlegendrpg.com, and it is designed to me to be something that is it enhances campaigns. It keeps things going. I think one of the most unique aspects is the not just the character customization, but the character connections. Can you talk a little bit about that aspect
Sure.
of things?
The character connections. Define that a little bit more. Which are you referring to?
You have your even just on the website, you have the 1d12 player character connections, where you can sort of find different ways that everyone is sort of united together, rather than just being the murder hobo party that just, you know, somehow meets at a tavern or whatever. This gives it more.
It's interesting. You must be a telepath or something like that, because what's funny is the D12 player character connections, I mean, that's just fun flavor that's totally optional. But actually, I'll talk about something that I've not talked about very much publicly. We're sort of 95% finished with the game, but with the remaining, you know, couple months that we have, you know, Kickstarter launches October 18th, and then, you know, sometime around January-ish, probably we'll be delivering the actual, you know, final to people's doorsteps and such. But one of the things we're going to add is a concept of perks and flaws. So perks include multiple things, like in 5th edition D&D, your background would be considered a perk in Open Legend. It's like you have a special advantage, you know, in what is typically a certain social scenario.
Right.
You know, so that's going to come along, and it's going to include things like, you know, favor of a noble or something like that. And one of the cool things I want to do in there is we're going to advise GMs to hand out story-based rewards rather than just, you know, loot and XP. Yeah. Right. So what happens is those perks, they can be something that you take later in the game. Your character can evolve and change over time, so that you didn't start with the noble favor feat, you know, or a perk, but then you get it later on, or the GM could award it at the end of a story arc where you save the town or something like that.
Yeah.
And so perks are like that, and what they'll do is they work a little bit like the racial. If you look at the character creation now, we have a thing for racial abilities. We're actually going to roll racial abilities in together and call it all part of perks.
Okay.
And then if you look at the racial abilities now on the website, that's a great template for what we're going to kind of do with that not yet released aspect of the game, because the racial things say something like once per session, you know, like keen eyes for an elf or something, says like once per session you can invoke this ability, and the GM will make you privy to some special information that you notice because of your keen eyes.
Yeah.
And so it works like, rather than just stacking lots of numbers, which I find to be eventually very boring. You know, it's one thing that I don't like about certain role-playing games where you just kind of stack a lot of numbers up and that sort of thing. Instead, it's like, you know that you're always going to have an effect, and, you know, you kind of choose it and you use it, you know, sparingly, right? It's like, it's guaranteed to have some sort of change or impact on the story.
Right.
So, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, that kind of thing is definitely in the pipeline. I think it's interesting that you mentioned that. because it's not really it's not actually finished yet. But yeah, the D12 character connections is a cool. We have some sort of just story based articles just to help people out, and stuff that's relevant to any campaign or whatever, any role playing game, regardless of what system.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's cool. It's one of the aspects that I really like about the whole system, and it's funny that you talk about that and that you mention it, because it is something that we've incorporated in a lot of our games that is not in like D&D or Call of Cthulhu or whatever we play.
Right.
In our Call of Cthulhu game, we have some rewards that people can purchase. Chat can purchase to influence the game, and a lot of them are things like characters luck triggers or something like that, and so something good happens from that, and it's always something story based that enhances the character and enhances the story that you're giving and telling. So I really appreciate. I mean, I come from I know chat's going to roll their eyes because I always bring this up, but I come from a second edition background where...
Me too.
Your
character... I started around 95 or whatever, so... Yep.
Yeah. I started playing... well, never mind. I won't get into that. But the thing was how that was sort of the first time you really had a kind of in-depth character creation. You had all those non-weapon proficiencies and everything, and so you were really building a sort of well-rounded character. It wasn't just, okay, he was strong or he was smart or whatever, but you had all these sort of in-depth things. And that's something I think that you've included here that's not necessarily in a lot of the other RPGs, but it's adding those abilities. And the thing that I really liked, if you can talk about it, is the Banes and the Boons. Those allowing characters to pick and choose from whatever, as long as they have the prerequisites. That to me is really special, because I can't tell you how many times I've built characters and go, okay, yes, this is all great, but I really want them to have this sort of, background. They have some sort of ability. Like this paladin is a paladin. He's 100% paladin, but okay, maybe he's 99.8%. He has 0.2%. He learned how to pick a pocket, way back when or something like that.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, if you wouldn't mind describing that, because I think that's one of the cool factors of this game. Yeah.
So you said a couple things. One being the part about like stepping outside of class. So one thing that it's hard. It's a tough balance, because I want people to feel like the game's real friendly to jump, to sort of dive headfirst and not feel like overwhelmed. And actually, I've had people in live streams on Encounter Roleplay, which is a channel that I'm on every Sunday, GMing this system. I've had people come where they literally spent zero time reading the rules, and they learned the game while we were playing it live, and it was no problem.
Yeah.
So to me, that is awesome and something that I'm really proud of. And then, but it has depth, right? And so, if you want to be a paladin that picks pockets, then you just need to invest some of your attribute points in agility, because that's all you need is a thief is agile. That's why they're good at picking pockets. If you want to up that game, even further, you can take the skill specialization feat, which gives you advantage whenever you do a non-combat roll with a given attribute. So you would take skill, focus, agility, and then anytime you use agility outside of combat, you get advantage on it. That would be pickpockets and stealth and all that sort of thing. So there's that part. But then... it's classless, right? That's the thing that some people don't actually realize, which is that, and it's not the first game of its kind, by no means. A lot of times when I emphasize that it's classless, I think people jump to the conclusion that I'm saying it's the first. Right. It's not the first. GURPS is way at the beginning. I don't know if they're the first either, but they might be. But the thing about, the thing about those games is that, well, anyway, for me, GURPS was just, it was just too much mechanics and too heavy from having to own tons of books and do a lot of studying, that sort of thing. And that's not really my cup of tea. Take some, imagine me, right? Someone who's complaining about having to look up the spell list in 5th edition and then put me in GURPS. Obviously that's not going to go well. You know what I mean? Because GURPS is more complicated. But anyway, so to talk though about the Banes and Boons, right? So the Banes and Boons. So this is a funny story. Everybody, every time someone says, I hate 4th edition, there's somebody that says, oh, but I love 4th edition. Most people don't like 4th edition. I hate to break it to anyone who's a 4th edition lover. But the thing is, there were parts of 4th edition that I loved, actually. One of the things I loved was I did not like the part where you felt very railroaded, and you would hit 3rd and 5th level, and you would have to choose from 3 different abilities. Really? 3 is my options, Totally lame. But the part that I liked was that the attacks had an additional effect, right? If you took the at-will power as a fighter, you could push somebody a square every time you attacked them or did damage to them. And I thought that was great. And to be honest, I was so shocked by 5th edition. I think it's by far the best edition of D&D. But the thing about it that shocked me was that I actually thought they were onto something with 4th, and I thought they were going to fix the stuff that was really bad about 4th. And Open Legend, for me, really the Banes and Boons concept comes from 4th edition. I mean, that's where I got the idea. Having a secondary effect when you make an attack or something. But one of the things that happens is, those at-will powers in 4th edition, they had to be small in terms of what they can do, because if they had a really sort of gigantic impact on the combat or on the game, and they happened every round, then it would become a lot of management headache, right?
Right.
So one of the things that's how I wanted to see 4th edition improve, and so that's where it came from in Open Legend. Was we have the same secondary effects in Open Legend, just like 4th edition, except it's much more open to storytelling, because you're not locked to just one. It's and then the other problem that I just mentioned, where you have a management headache on your hands, in Open Legend, it only triggers when you do 10 damage, right? So what that means is only on an exceptional success do you have to worry about introducing these new, things to keep track of, which are Banes and Boons. They're essentially status effects. Are you burning? Persistent damage, is a Bane, which is are you bleeding or burning or poisoned? Those can all be represented by the persistent damage Bane. Another Bane is forced movement. That can cover trip, push, pull. It can be an explosion from a fireball that sends, this particular fireball is just lethal, and it literally just sends people scattering, in all directions. So those are things that I'm super happy with, because the only thing like a spell book is that you have to do in Open Legend is learn the Banes and Boons. But when you want to cross over into another class or another focus, you may have already learned the Banes and Boons that you might use in that other, with that other attribute, because you roll damage according to an attribute roll, right. And those attributes are then tied to different Banes, right? So that's the brief version of how it works anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been so impressed by how people have used the system. You know what I mean? Just to see the amount of creativity that it's unlocked has been so inspiring to me. I honestly can't even tell you. It's exactly what I had hoped for with the system, which is that people would not be on the rails. Oh, I did this ability and it has this specific effect, and in D&D a crit, a 20, right? It's only a 5% chance. It's not rare. Right. In Open Legend we have exploding dice. So somebody just told me today that they were playtesting the intro module, and one of their players, the first die roll that anyone rolled at all at the table was a 67. So that's a 20, 20, 17, and then 10 with the remainder with the other dice. So like that is awesome. I mean, like that's the kind of thing, like we're defining this like bell curve effect, right?
Yeah.
Where we're saying what happens beyond that 5%, and there's a chance that like the black arrow could kill Smog, right? That's what I wanted, was for it to be able to tell like any story, right? Not just like when in D&D, when you're at 20th level and you have 200 hit points and the enemy has 400 hit points, like where's the lethality? Where's the storytelling where somebody could literally drop from one hit? That's not even possible. Right. I mean, it's possible with magic, but not with a sword, which I think is lame, because can't somebody get a sword in the heart? Like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like you should be able to.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's the storytelling mechanics have shifted so much. There seems to be so many different games out there now that have such a wide range, a gamut of how the story is told. And D&D traditionally has always been in the dice realm, and the number that you get on that dice determines what happens, but it's always within a set system, right? Like you can never kind of go over a certain amount and all this stuff. We play Star Wars, the Fantasy Flight Star Wars, and that's very story oriented. So while you can get a success, that you determine kind of how extensive that success is. And I think it's really interesting, and I love the new games that are bringing out more of the story mechanics so that you get involved more. But have you found anyone... I mean, obviously, everyone's going to have their own thoughts when it comes to games and what games they prefer to play and all that stuff. But in terms of Open Legend, have you found anyone kind of coming back and going like, I just can't get into it, because it's a very, I guess as a GM, you've got to be very on top of it, because right, you could throw your Smog or whatever at the players and they could take it down in one hit. And then what? You know what I mean? So you really have to be going.
It's incredible. It has flexed my DM muscles, to be honest with you. And I don't regret that. I actually think that I think it's regrettable, the fact that it's common, and I'm guilty of this just as much as anyone else, running D&D for a long time myself. That you expect a combat when you plan out your game, and then you know that if it's a knockdown drag out, it's going to take 2 or 3 hours, and you don't have to plan any story. I've found that, but the cool part is with Open Legend, creating that boss encounter, right? That should take a while, but there's a 1 in 100 chance that they kill it in one hit. That does happen, and it actually happened to me live on a stream on Encounter Roleplay. I had the pet panther of the druid, who he had like acquired the previous session via like charm magic to have it as a companion or whatever. And the thing doesn't even have the highest stats of anybody in the party, but the 20s just the D20 went crazy and exploding, and the big epic boss battle in round 2, the thing just rolled a 60 and killed it, and it was like, okay, but I don't, I mean, I think it's cool, because the thing is, you just got to remember that math is still on your side, right? Like the PCs should still be able to maybe fell the dragon in one hit. It's just that the odds of that are 1 in 100, and that's kind of how you have to just hold, pitch your hope on that.
Right.
But I found that the cool part is making monsters and NPCs is so fast in Open Legend. I literally went from being 50-50 between story and mechanics in my GM prep to now maybe 60-40, like 60 on story and 40 on mechanics, because I'm kind of a more story-heavy GM. But now it's really 95% of the time I spend on story and 5% I spend on mechanics. And those are really actual like meaningful mechanics. And I'll tell you my secret for anybody who wants to GM the system. When you think of an enemy, you think of what's the memorable secondary effect associated with it, right? Is it like a rogue that causes bleeding damage? Mm-hmm. Is it a wolf that trips people? And the simplest way to make an open legend, monster or NPC is to just give that NPC Bane focus, which makes it so that particular Bane triggers not on 10 damage, but instead on 5 damage. And so now you've got a lot of flavor that gets exchanged, and that for me anyway, has worked really well, where you get a chance to portray and tell sort of paint the picture about what the combat looks like by, there are wolves that are tripping them, or, some ogre that's trying to knock them off of a cliff or whatever, that kind of thing. But really, you don't have to manage a lot of their status effects and extra abilities and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, anyway, that's just my advice for people who are out there who are interested in GMing the system. That's worked great for me.
Yeah, that's cool. Squire Ned in the chat says, as an open legend GM, I find it to be rather liberating that things can swing so much. Yeah, no, that's absolutely part of the charm, I would say, of the game. Again, going back to some of the more story-heavy systems out there like a Fate or Dungeon World that rely more on describing what's happening than actually sort of playing it out.
Right.
I think that's I welcome the more RP heavy aspect of these games. Not that there isn't a place for a 4th edition or a Shadowrun or something where you're very heavily just throwing all these dice at whatever problem you have. But yeah, so that's very cool. So along that note, you have the A Star Once Fallen, which is the Learn to Play module, which is I think a really cool aspect. It's what we do all the time on our show, and when we're talking about teaching a system to new people, probably the easiest way to do that is really just to play, because once you start playing, and that's how I learn, is I can't sit down and go through a manual as much as Farquaad in chat would love me to do that. I can't just read one and know how to play it. And when I get going in a game, obviously that's when you start having those, you run into those moments where you're like, okay, now I need to figure out how I can, climb this wall or whatever, or this doesn't seem like it was balanced very well. Okay, now I need to figure that out. Playing a game, that's where you're going to learn it. So can you talk a little bit about A Star Once Fallen, sort of what the background is there, and how that came to be the teaching mechanism for the game?
Yeah, so that actually, one of the people that I am hugely indebted to in creating this project, and for anyone who doesn't know, Squire Ned, I'm pretty sure, is one of my core developers. His name's Kyle Willie, and he's already
written... His name's not Ned?
Yeah, I know.
Damn you!
He is... he is... he's got a lot of great progress on a space opera version of Open Legend,
cool.
Called The Legacy of 8, and we are hoping to... There's a lot of stuff I have to manage in the sort of pipeline, because I do have a lot of people who want to do different genres with the system and stuff like that. But I definitely want to publish what he's done. But anyway, so that's Kyle, and then another one is Ish Stabos. He's my editor for the core rules, and he is also my co-creator. A lot of the stuff that we did with removing resource management from the system was his inspiration. Yeah. And he is, by day, he's a college English professor, but he's a teacher of teachers. So he teaches other teachers, other professors how to teach.
Yeah, yeah.
And he is really, really great about modern modern ideas around how to have people learn things. And that the whole concept of a learn by play, that was purely his idea. And that's he wrote the thing. You'll see his name. He's the first one that you see on the inside of the cover. He's the author, and it was his idea. And he's been a huge help to me in this whole process. And yeah, just to give credit where it's due. But yeah, I totally agree, and I think it works well. I think it lines up well with what we're seeing. A trend in the industry where people are learning role-playing games by watching other people play them on stream, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great for that because you don't actually have to do a whole ton of study. You just sort of dive in, zero prep. We're going to I've simplified the rules. So for anyone who reads The Star One's Fallen, just keep in mind that that is like Open Legend Basic. There's a lot more options in the full core rules. But yeah, it's been great, and it's cool because I've also played that module with full on Open Legend characters, right? So like I run an IRL game for a bunch of people that have never played a role playing game before. I do it like once a month on a Friday for the past like 4 months or so, and these guys, they have like the full characters with the full rule set. And you maybe add some hit points to a monster here and there, whatever. But it's really it works out pretty well. But anyway, yeah, I think that the learn by play model is a great way to go, and I'm really grateful to Ish's genius for suggesting it. And I'm curious what other people think. But I think it's going to go well for people who want to just sort of jump in without having to do a lot of study, which is, I think, another reason I think that the game, I hope, will do well, actually, because I think there are a lot of people who are watching Critical Role every Thursday night, but they may not actually be willing to invest the time that the people they're watching have invested to learn a system, because D&D is a lot more complicated than what's sort of glossed over in the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they kind of, they focus on the drama, which I love, because if they focused on the mechanics, I wouldn't watch the show either.
Right.
Yep. So I don't know. That's my thought. I don't know. I might have rambled too much there, guys. You have to let me know.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, I think that's true. I mean, we could definitely talk about the sort of introduction of role playing to people who aren't role players by trade, right? That they come into it sort of by watching something like Critical Role or something, and trying to introduce a system to people like this is always an uphill battle, because you're not sure exactly how much of the rules you should go into. And by having a way to play that and demonstrate it as you go, I think is always a better system. And the way that you have it, again, we were talking about the exploding dice and stuff, is always a fun way to get people sort of involved, because suddenly you're just rolling boatloads of dice. Like, that's the best part of Shadowrun, is exploding dice. And
what's cool is with Open Legend, if I can geek out for a second on math, I as my background, I have a diverse background. I'm kind of a designer / programmer / marketing person, or whatever, like, by trade, but as a programmer, the cool part about the dice is that I actually wanted to fix that about other systems like Shadowrun, which is a great system. But when you have D6s and you're rolling 10 of them, you're actually pretty bounded to an average, pretty tightly anyway. You don't stray outside of that much. But with Open Legend, the way the dice progress, actually, because at the highest level, like, most lethal attack you might roll in the system might be like D20 plus 3D10 with advantage 5. And advantage 5 means you roll 5 extra D10, and then you're still going to keep the highest 3, right? And so the cool part is, every time you sort of step it up in terms of advantage like that, you're adding another D10, which is another chance to explode. And yes, in Shadowrun, all those d6s explode, but just because of the smallness of the die, lack of larger dice like d10s and d20s, you have like a more narrow average. Whereas in Open Legend, the curve really, really swings wide.
Yeah.
Like you can roll a 4. You can be you can be the highest level, most potent character in the game, and you can roll a 4, total of 4.
Sure.
And then you can roll an 80, and it's totally, they could totally both happen in the same session. And I like that swing. So that's I found it to be really, really, really fun in the game, and it just really it really makes the game exciting. A lot of people have, that's been the reaction I've got from, people that have played it. So, but anyway, you were going somewhere else, I think, and I derailed you.
No, you were right on track. Yeah, that's exactly it. I wanted to just throw a little side conversation out about the open sourceness of it. The whole sub header of Open Legend is it's an open source role-playing game. So can you talk a little bit about what exactly that means? What can you do with open source?
Yeah, so open source, there's a couple different definitions of what open source is. So you have the 3rd edition OGL, then you have, what else do we have here? There's Creative Commons with attribution license. Right now I have borrowed, and actually with his permission, which is cool, Luke Crane, who wrote Burning Wheel, Burning Wheel, but also Torchbearer. So with Torchbearer, he has a real simple, plain license, and that's where we are with the game right now. The reason I call it open source is because, like I said, it's not behind a paywall. You can play the game full on. There's no limitations to playing it just by using the website as a reference. If you want all the beautiful art and stuff that are going to be in the core rules, then you have to buy the PDF, for that, or the hardcover. But when I was, it's kind of like I would love to see people play Open Legend as the first role-playing game that they play. And maybe they're 8 years old and they don't have $40 because they're 8 years old. You know what I mean? Like, so they can just go on the internet and and play Open Legend, and I think that that's cool. Yeah. And that's something so in my day job, I build on top of open source technology with code libraries that we use all the time. So all of my work, like I'm constantly building these little teeny tips on top of these gigantic icebergs where people have spent thousands of hours writing code that I just use and implement in a day. Yeah. And then, the mind share factor there is incredible. And so that to me is really important about Open Legend. That's why it'll always be free on the website. And then, we have to, pay to keep the lights on and stuff like that. So we find other ways to, get, to collect money and to pay the bills. But at the heart of it, my goal is, with Open Legend, I want as many people as possible to play the game. I am not interested in, like, having something that's just like a flash in the pan where I have like a pretty successful Kickstarter which fails to generate enough of a like user base to actually have long-term momentum. To me, that's a failure. I don't want that. Right. And so my goal is just for people to play the game. I tell this every time I talk about the game, like on stream, like if I'm on Encounter Roleplay, jamming, and just giving a brief plug, I'm like, guys, just play the game, please. That's all I want. I just want you to play the game. You know what I mean? Like, if you like it, that's great. That's all I'm looking for, because even if you don't have money, maybe, you're just out of work, or you are 8 years old and you're listening to this right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
if you're 8 years old, you're not supposed to be tuning into this channel, but okay. we won't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that person will tell somebody else who has some money that. So for me, that's the big goal, is that the maximum possible number of people play the game, and then we'll figure the money thing out later. Right. I'm not too worried about that. So that's my idea with open source, is that also if anyone here's this, and you actually are like me, you're a programmer. If you go to github.com/openlegendrpg, you'll actually find all of the source code for the rules right there. So like if you find a typo and you want to help me out as a favor, you can submit a code change or a pull request right there on GitHub, and we can get some editing error fixed or whatever.
Great.
Start a comment, start a discussion, and also if you go to our website openlegendrpg.com, in the right side it talks about view the upcoming stuff on the development board. We have a Trello board, and our whole development process is completely transparent, so you can just jump right onto the Trello board. It's public, and you can start making comments on the work that we're doing, what's next up, voting on things that you think should be a priority, contributing feedback on ideas that are in development and that sort of stuff.
Right.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah, very cool. What was the other thing? Real quick, one of the other cool aspects is that you have a conversion guide for 5th edition. 5th edition is obviously the big boy right now, the one that's hot. Everyone's playing it.
Yep.
It's so hot right now. 5th edition. But you have a conversion guide to sort of ease everyone into this system. And honestly, just from what little I've looked at and played around with it in here, it's very, very similar in a lot of areas to 5th edition, which should make it the barrier to entry very low.
That's my goal.
Yeah. So I think that's very cool. I don't know if there's much to talk about for the conversion, but I just thought, it's a very, very cool, opportunity for people to have that ability to do that. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I highly recommend people who, if you're someone who watches Critical Role and you're a little, maybe you're vaguely familiar with 5th edition, and you want to try out Open Legend because, hey, why not? It's free.
Right.
It's a great way to come at it if you're not sure. Because one of the things about it is there's no guardrails, right? You actually can, in Open Legend, one thing that's funny is you can fail to give yourself any points in an attribute that will boost your hit points. Mm-hmm. So you could have 10 hit points in the game. I mean, you're sure. Probably not going to fare well.
Right.
But you can do that, right? So if you want to get an idea of how to come at the game from a familiar archetype, I want to be a paladin, I want to be a ranger, I want to be a monk, whatever. That 5th edition conversion guide is a great place to do that, where you can, and then you can see, the monk ability that you get at this level. The cool thing is in Open Legend, often you can mix up the order that you would get those abilities, right? Because we don't have this strict level progression. It's you can get the ability that you want from the paladin at 5th level, which is the only reason you're playing a paladin, and then you can throw in the abilities that a monk has at 3rd and 2nd level because actually that was more, whatever. So I've seen some crazy concepts, and actually, since we are at 11:30, we should do that now, which is, does anyone have any crazy character concepts that you have not been able to realize or see in a system because it's sort of really out there, or maybe you have seen it in a system, but just it's rare or something? Feel free to drop them in chat, and I will try to teach you how you might build that character with those abilities. Make sure you're specific about what the abilities, special abilities are, right? Because I had somebody tell me the backstory of their character, and I was like, well, that's any role-playing game, so let's be specific about let's be specific about what the special powers are of the character. But anyway, I guess we'll wait for people to chime in. Right now, I don't see anything yet. So
how? We'll give them about 15 seconds to actually see the question pop up, and
right.
Then, but along the lines of creating characters and playing it, I know a lot of what you have on the in the core rules and everything is sort of geared towards fantasy. But do you see this system being able to accommodate other sort of genres and settings and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yep. I think so. Amore's Dawn includes stuff for like bioengineered, semi-futuristic sci-fi stuff.
Right.
We have steampunk stuff with guns. We have high fantasy with magic and everything. There's all kinds of stuff. And the goal is that inaugural campaign setting will serve as an example of how genre doesn't matter in Open Legend. You can really make it compatible with any genre. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we do have. I have lots and lots of progress on talks with people who are already working on pitches for other genre stuff, and like the name enchantment might become mind control if it's like a futuristic sort of thing, or like psychic power or something like that. So we might sort of change the flavor, change the names a little bit, but the core engine, as you can see, because we don't use spell lists, and all we care about is we start with an attribute, we end with a secondary effect, which is the Bane, right? So because of that, those Banes, they map to all systems, right? So I've on the Encounter Roleplay channel, I've done like Deadlands style Weird West games. Mm-hmm. I've done Amore's Dawn. We've done high fantasy. We've done. I did a heavy metal rock apocalypse game that was about the end of the world, and the whole group was a bunch of band members that were 90s rock stars. So it's really super open. That's the beauty of the system, but then not so open that you're just sort of making up fluffy nonsense that doesn't tie to rules, right? So yeah, there's and for people who are listening, please tweet me, at Open Legend RPG. Just tweet me about stuff that you want to see in the future, because I'm 100% focused on the Kickstarter right now. We're going to start that October 18th, and then but as soon as we get off of that, I want to be thinking about who I'm going to be working with and which thing I'm going to choose to publish next as a next genre, next up in line or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, we have a couple of concepts in chat here. Let's start with Braid. Braid tried making a chaotic neutral fertility cleric who grew up with gnolls and worshipped Azathoth once, but the GM nixed it. So how about a crazy fertility cleric who worshipped a being from beyond the stars?
Okay. So I would think that sounds like it sounds to me like a lot of like a mind type stuff. So I would think that the two things you would want are divination and enchantment. So, and clerics often do have divination, because if you're using the like the normal things that you expect from D&D, spells like augury and stuff like that, those are covered under divination. So detecting magic is divination. And the cool thing is, in Open Legend, you buy into these attributes and you get like this package of related abilities, right? So, if you take a bunch of attribute points in divination, then you'll get the ability to read other people's minds. You'll get the ability to see and predict the future, which can be your choice. Does it represent like some sort of time-space warp thing, or does it represent, your deity showing you something, right? That's up to you in the flavor text. But you can also take the enchantment attribute, and that would give you the ability to charm people and ultimately dominate them. That sounds like something that a fertility, charming people, making them have a good time, that kind of thing. Just like your typical enchantress or something like that. That's my guess.
She adds that the idea was that she'd mutate her enemies and cause them to give birth to the impossible spawn of an outer god.
So
classic Braid.
That would be alteration. Polymorph is a high level ability, but you can work toward it. and polymorph allows you to change the shape of other beings. So that would do that. And alteration would also make you a shapeshifter yourself if you want to be. So that's how I would probably approach that, I guess.
Yeah. I like it. Good answer. Next, we'd hit the button if there was a button to hit. Tiz Fuzzy says a magic user that specializes in ice and lightning while still being decent at melee. And it would also help if he was a minotaur or maybe a rabbit or both.
I love it. A minotaur or a rabbit.
Yeah.
Those are tough choices that we have to make in life. I'm not sure if I can help you with that kind of identity crisis between when you're deciding between rabbit versus minotaur. But ice and lightning in Open Legend are the same. So they're both the energy attribute. So it kind of similar to evocation if you're a D&D player. So if you want to be able to do energy damage, if you want to be, you actually are literally just taking the energy attribute, investing heavily in that, and then when you cast, it's just up to you. That's the thing about Open Legend is we actually we don't care whether it's ice or lightning. That we believe that the player should be able to decide that. So you can choose from each attack that you make whether you want that to be an ice or a lightning attack. Now, if you want to make that more like a video game spell where you cast ice, cone of cold, and it slows everybody down, then you could probably take Bane Focus slowed, and that would make it so that every time you do 5 damage, you trigger the slowed Bane, and so that represents your emphasis as a magic user on freezing or chilling magic that can slow your enemies. If you want to be a bursty caster that does attacks in an area, then you can take the multi-attack specialist feat, and that will make it so that you can attack 2x2 area without taking a penalty to your attack to do so. But the cool thing is in Open Legend, anyone can do multi-attacks, but it just gives you a disadvantage to your roll to do so. So if I attack 2 targets or a 2x2 area, then I take disadvantage 2 on the roll. So anyone can do that, but then if you take that feat, multi-attack specialist, it will offset the penalty so that you're always able to do that area attack without taking a penalty. So if I was an ice and lightning mage, I would probably have that too.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Yes. Sevigny. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but is it Chloe Sevigny? Because why are you watching my show? Chloe.
No, I don't think it's Chloe because actually, I forget his first name, but we talked on Twitter. He's got a copy of the Star Wars Fallen module.
Great. So time traveling, is that possible? Will Schmidt, the time traveling zombie cowboy amputee who is part robot and can shoot lasers from his robotic amputations?
I once talked to someone who told me, in earnest, about their wonderful time-traveling barbarian character in a Dungeon World campaign that they were playing in, and there's Chris, not Chloe.
Yeah.
Time travel. So the way I represent time travel in Open Legend is a more low-level type of time alteration or warp. So in Amore's Dawn, the campaign setting, there is a time bender who is that's very powerful. She's very powerful in abjuration magic. So she is able to negate curses on other people and magically protect people. And so her magical protection just uses the abjuration attribute, and that gives her high defenses because there's a feat for supernatural defense. It also gives her the ability to do a special thing in Open Legend, which is a defend roll. So you can actually sacrifice the action you would have on your next turn, and what you do is you just roll an attribute roll, and whether it's an attack against you or you're protecting an ally, their defense becomes the roll total, if it's greater than their existing defense score. So I've had people who I rolled like a 50 against a player that would have killed them in one shot, and then somebody stepped in who was specialized in this kind of abjuration magic, and they rolled 2d6, and they got double sixes and then double sixes again, and they ended up the player ended up taking 5 damage instead of being killed outright in one hit.
Wow.
The economics of the thing still works out because they missed their next act, they missed the turn that they would have had next. So abjuration is what I would do. That's how I represent time bending, is time dilation. And so this NPC, like her hair and this golden shawl sort of like levitate around her because time is in a sort of slowed down state around her, and that's how she protects herself. But if you wanted to go 1,000 years in the past, I think it would be really silly for a DM to allow a standard rule to change the story of the game that way. So that would be something that you should work out with the DM. I can't get behind that if somebody thinks that should be like a spell. Let me go 100 years in the past, but
Right.
maybe those examples that I just gave satisfy the need or whatever. That's, like I said, this is actually an NPC from my game that I've run for the last 2 years. She's a very well-loved NPC who has like helped the players out a lot, and that time dilation and control and warping is definitely her domain. So maybe that answers the question, hopefully.
That makes me think of Tracer from Overwatch, who
Yep.
can just go a couple seconds in the either forward or in the past. So that's pretty cool. DJ Regular says, how about a dragon that had been orphaned somehow and raised away from its clutch by a cabal of scions to use, as in psionics, to use their abilities along with its own natural gifts, being a freaking dragon. It eventually leaves its adopted home to try and find its greater purpose, possibly falling in with adventurers along the way.
Yeah, great. I think that's totally doable because that actually leans on 2 things that are already in other character concepts that we just discussed, right? So one would be energy. So you choose what your dragon's energy specialty is, whether that's fire, lightning, cold, whatever. But you still are just going to take that one attribute, which is energy. And then the other side is he's also a scion. Mm-hmm. So as a scion, you would want to determine, are you a scion that exerts control via like telepathy telepathy is like receiving, being able to hear other people's thoughts and communicate back and forth. That also is divination, see the future, all that kind of psionic stuff. And then there's the other kind of psionic stuff, which is the movement attribute. So the movement attribute allows you to levitate, fly, haste yourself, teleport. So if those are the psionic attributes, qualities you're looking for, then you can take the movement attribute to achieve that. And then the last one is mind control. So again, enchantment we talked about before. So if you want to be able to dominate people, charm people, the cool thing, I'm pretty proud of this. I made a low-level way of using enchantment in the game so that it's not like broken, and that is you can dominate animals even before you can dominate like humanoid level intelligence. So you have to be higher level before you can dominate humanoids outright. Okay. But you can, like as a druid, you can command and control the minds of like your animal companions or something like that, and give them orders. And you can do that at a lower level. So you might be a scion whose lower level gifting right now just manifests as being able to control and influence animals and do a more minor kind of a charm, on humanoids,
right.
And then graduate later on. So I think that hopefully that covers that. I think that's how I would do it anyway.
That seems pretty concise to me. What do you think, DJ Regular? Let's see. Yeah, so Squire Ned says that you guys have changed some of the rules so that there isn't a psychic attribute anymore.
Yeah, correct. Psychic went away because it crossed too many boundaries, and it sort of bled into many of the other ones. So we made it go away, and we made it so that you have to sort of you have to decide which kind of discipline you're focusing on. So yeah.
Cool. Azure says, how about we build a kind of character who uses the power of the world around them to fuel a kind of alteration of their weapons, like being able to pull the power of the earth into their sword to be able to add some earth damage to their attacks, etc. Not conjuring from thin air, but pulling from other things.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I would represent that is with the I want to write a blog article called "How to Make a Dumb Open Legend Character," and the reason I want to write that article is because for people who don't like being overwhelmed by lots of strategy and choices, one of the things I'm really proud about Open Legend is that it works really well both for people who want things super, super simple and people who want them complex. And actually, you can have both play together at the same table. And that's something that, yeah, I mean, in D&D you have like the fighter is the simple version, or historically has been. I think 5th edition is a little more complicated, right? But and then the wizard's the more complex version. But in Open Legend, you can play the most easy and simple character, and it can be a spellcaster,
right? Which
I think is like pretty cool because, and I'll tell you. So the answer to the person's question here is take the energy or take the attack focus or attack specialization feat, and when you take that feat, you choose, and you can choose like energy, for example. So if you take attack specialization energy, then anytime you roll an energy attack, you get advantage 1 on the roll. So the simplest character that you can make in Open Legend is like, I have to make a epic 10th level Open Legend character. What am I going to do? Okay, just take every single level, so that would be 11 times. You just take attack specialization. and what that is you get advantage 11 on your rolls. So it does not work if you don't like rolling a lot of dice. So it does require that you be okay with rolling large fistfuls of dice. Right. But you're 10th level, so you have 3d10. You have an attribute score of 9, which gives you 3d10. So you would roll 3d10 plus advantage 11. So you're actually rolling 14d10, and hopefully a bunch of those are 10s each time. And that's how you could. That's how I would represent being able to channel earth energy. Is I would use just as a flavor thing. I would use and say my attacks come from a weapon, but I would have attack specialization earth. Attack specialization lightning, and then that would be the representative of my focus on dealing out damage, and the fact that I get advantage is because, yeah, I can add more oomph to my attack because I'm, specialized in doing that.
Right. I love it. I think when we were talking about this before, but just sort of the specifications that you can make to a character to make it your own really hasn't been around in a while. I mean, we were talking briefly about 4th edition and how you could do abilities that would be specific to your character, but also specific to your class, and not really character driven abilities. So being able to unite the two, like having a character concept of someone who pulls their weapons essentially from the earth, or their abilities from the earth, and using that, like, that's a unique thing. Like, you don't have to be anything beyond whatever you want to be. Like, you can be a thief and have that ability. Like, there's nothing preventing you from creating that character. So that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, I have a really cool pre-gen character in the folder where we have a bunch of. If you go to the Open Legend character creation chapter on the website, there's a link to our pre-gen characters in Google Drive, and in Google Drive, there's one character who I call the Shadow Dancer, and what they have is they're focused on agility, just like any rogue, but they also have the movement attribute. So this particular rogue teleports, right, and can levitate, and that's all manifest as like shadow magic. That's how I envisioned it anyway when I made the character, if that makes sense,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I really really enjoy that concept. Um, well, we're sort of nearing the midnight hour for you, and I need to talk some things that are non-open legend related.
Sure.
But I could definitely talk about this for a long time. I love the concept. You guys who are in chat, let us know what you think. I know a few of you are already playing this or are working on it. Let us know. Brian can be found at Open Legend RPG on Twitter or openlegendrpg.com. You can get all the core rules basically on the website, so you can essentially get started now. Get playing it. Once again, the Kickstarter starts October. When was that?
18th.
October 18th. So definitely go and check that out when it's live. We'll definitely let you know as well here, and we'll have to have you back to talk a little bit more about all of that. But thanks so much, Brian. Thanks for coming on the show and talking a lot about it. So we'll have you back, and we'll talk more.
Okay, great. Should I dip out and let you finish up, or should I just hang around here?
You can dip out and actually go to bed.
I'm curious what kind of secrets you have that you're trying to keep from me.
I
might have to stick around.
You're more than welcome to if you want.
That's cool. But thank you for having me. To be clear, I really I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk about it. It's hard to get me to shut up, as you've now learned. It's great. It's awesome to find people that are excited about what they're doing. Obviously, that's what we here at Saving Throw are. We love doing what we're doing, and finding people that are also excited and starting off new things it's always very empowering. I think, especially in the gaming industry, when everyone is trying to do something new and interesting. So it's always fun talking to people like yourself. So thanks very much again for coming on. Yeah. And if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. I can keep you in the window, or I can move onto a solo picture of me, or whatever you want to do. But I'll let you go. I'll trust you that you're not gonna.
No, well, now you can just switch on the stream and see what's going on. All right. Thanks very much, Brian. We'll talk to you soon.
So long, everybody in chat. Right. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks again to Dom for having me.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Brian. Okay. Thanks again, Brian Feister, Open Legend RPG. It was really great talking to him. We've been trying to cook this up for a while now, and one thing or another happened, and I wasn't able to get him on. And finally, Labor Day is the day to make it happen. So thanks very much again for coming on. So just real briefly, I wanted to talk to you guys because it has been a few weeks since I've last chatted with you guys, and lots of things have been changing, and so I wanted to sort of give you all a little bit of a rundown of what's going on right now with Saving Throw, and maybe answer questions if you guys have them. The big thing right now is the XP system. For the longest time, for a couple of months now, we've been threatening to move away from Revlo, and D20 Robot was going to take over for all of our needs. Well, right now we are sticking with Revlo, so when you type capital X, capital P, you will get 2 XP listings for what you have. One from RevloBot and one from D20 Robot. Those will show you exactly what you have to spend. Now, D20 Robot doesn't have any rewards. The only thing there are many things you can do with D20 Robot, but spending them on rewards is not one of them. Braid just did that. So Alaskan just did it. So you guys can see how that works. So you see that there's 2 different numbers there. Revlo is where you go to influence our games. So as you know, in every game that we play, role-playing game that is, you can influence the games and sort of shape the story to one direction or another. Revlo is still the bot of choice for that. ! Donations will take you to the page that will show you exactly what you can spend that on. You can also spend your cold hard cash as well if you want to be parted with that. But just so you know, right now, gambling does not work. Gambling is off. So just FYI, I see Texas Tevin was just trying to gamble. That's not working right now. So the Revlo is only going to go up as it always has. The actually you'll be able to on Monday Night Dungeon Fight. You can still bet on players using Revlo, so that will still be a way that you can get more money. Get more XP rather. The other way that you can get XP is still by being a Patreon backer. Patreon backers, $5 or more a month, get a certain levels of XP, and that XP goes to both D20 Robot and Revlo. So it's pretty significant. Oh, I have a very loud kitty today. Hi, cat. What do you want? There you go. So you are still earning XP, and if you're Patreon back, you're still getting a ton of XP that way. With D20 Robot, however, if you are a Patreon backer of any level, $1 and up, you are earning an extra XP per minute. If you are a regular viewer and a Patreon backer, you are earning, or a follower rather, you're not even a regular viewer, but just a follower. If you're following us, if you are not following us yet, follow us now, because you get an extra 25 XP on D20 Robot, and then you get 1 XP per minute just for following us. And then if you are a Patreon backer of any level, you get another XP. So you get 2 XP per minute if you are a Patreon backer as well. So many ways to earn XP on the channel. And just so you know, Revlo is sticking around for now until I can figure out the way to program Ankbot to do the reward systems the way that I want them to be run. Cat just wants to be on the internet. Damn it, Cat. So anyway, I wanted to be clear, because I know it's just for everybody, because we have so many streams going on and stuff, and so a lot of times people ask, and I may not be able to get to it fast enough. If people are asking, yes, Revlobot is still going. It's still chunking away. You can still redeem those rewards just like you always used to be able to. And you are still earning XP towards Revlobot. So that's still going. Revlo also allows you to earn XP if you follow us on Twitter and if you follow us on YouTube. So do that, and you earn extra XP that way on Revlo. So if you're not already following us on Twitter or YouTube, do so at Saving Throw Show on both of those systems. So there you go. The other cool thing, D20 Robot is doing this dungeon thing, which you guys see in the chat. You can do !dungeon, and it sets up a little system where you guys can go and you basically go dungeoneering, and sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And it's sort of like the gambling system. The gambling system is not working right now because I actually figured out that it was allowing you to gamble XP that you didn't have, which is not good. It's not supposed to work that way. So luckily no one abused it too heavily, but some people were getting quite a bit of XP that they were gambling that they didn't have to bet. So that's not how that was supposed to work. So back to the drawing board with that one. Anyway, fun times. Just like Vegas. What else? We're sort of nearing the well, let's see, where are we at? March to April, April to May, May to June, June to July, July to August, August, September. So we're hitting the 6-month mark of being at our studio. Thank you so much for all the support that you've given us. You see the little number up there in the corner. Those are our goals that we try to hit every month in order for us to stay in our studio space. I'm in my apartment right now. Excuse me, but we have a studio for all of our other games, and that's sort of a big component of what we do, and being able to provide all the shows that we can do. Having that studio allows us to do that. So thank you for the support that you give us. We are at the 6-month mark, so we're actually going back and reviewing some of the things that we're doing. If there are shows that you really love, let us know. Tell us, tell your friends, get the word out, because we really want to hear from you guys what's working and what isn't. I know we hear from a lot of people about what they want to see. And that's really good. that's something we need to hear too. But it's important to know what isn't working or what is working right now, so we know where to fit those new things in. Yeah, Burp Juice is back. It's the Iron Man caffeine-free Coke. I know I'm going off caffeine. Anyway, yes, Patreon money goes towards the studio space as well. So the biggest expense that we have right now is for the studio space. Thanks, Scott. Yes. So, yeah, let us know, chat with the GMs on Twitter, or send us a message on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you find us. Because we would love to hear. No, it's caffeine free. It's caffeine free. Caffeine free. Yeah. See, I'm good. Anyway. Yeah. So let us know, because we love to hear from you. We are looking into new shows. New shows means. At this stage, it's a pretty hefty ask to add new shows to our schedule, just because it means someone, usually me, has to be at the studio that time. So right now we have 7 shows, 5 days a week, and adding another show obviously is going to add time there, and we don't get paid for this, so it's hard to add more, but we have so many ideas for shows that we want to do. There's so much that we want to bring and play and do, that we're trying to work all that stuff out. So it really helps to get your guys' feedback and let us know what's working and what's not. Also, if you are, hey Kiganitz, what's up? Is it 8 shows? Am I wrong? It's probably 8 shows. Yeah. So let's see what else. There's if you can spread the word. We are, I even hate to say it, but we've sort of stagnated with views on some of our shows. I don't care about Proficiency Check. People can watch it or not. I don't care. If you guys like it, great. If you don't like it, whatever. I don't care. But I would love to see more people watching Barky's Brigade and Dark Sun and Phoenix Dawn Command and Never Tell Me the Odds and Black Bag and all that other stuff. I would love to see more people. We've sort of stagnated with the numbers there, and I'd love to get more people, because we are currently looking at potentially doing a Twitch partnership. The big thing with that is, if we started doing Twitch partners, or if we got a Twitch partnership, we would not be multi-streaming to YouTube, which would only mean that if we went down for some reason, it wouldn't be also streaming on YouTube. Maybe not a big deal. We don't get a ton of views on YouTube, but it does help us get something up immediately after the show is over, rather than waiting for something to upload. But yeah, so that's a big thing. So just share it. Let your friends know. Yes, the thumpers that came by from Hyper RPG on Friday night's show was awesome. If you are a thumper, thank you so much for watching. If you're a critter, thank you so much for watching. We love all of you guys. We love all those shows. So yeah, very much appreciated. We need more and more of those events to happen because they help us out a whole heaping buttload. So thank you. Well, there's lots of things to click on there, Calix. I see things to click. Yes, there's 10 shows. 10 shows, but not every show airs every week. So we have 2 shows on Mondays, 2 shows on Tuesdays, 1 show on Wednesday, 1 show on Friday, and 2 shows on Saturday. So there's 8 shows a week. 8 shows a week total, and 10 shows total that we have. 8 shows per week. So yeah. Anywho, that's it. Yeah, Jordan, yes, exactly. 8 shows a week, 10 total. Exactly. Let's see. So those are the main things I wanted to cover, I think. Are the XP system and the sort of what we're talking about. We have a big old meeting coming up where we're going to be talking a lot about our shows and a lot about other things that are coming up. Oh, the big thing, we are doing another charity marathon in November for Extra Life. This is like our 3rd or 4th year doing Extra Life. I am looking forward to it. I have a lot of fun doing them. So we're going to be playing lots of games. If you have any suggestions for games that you want to see us try and pick up and play, we'll probably be doing some. I am not going to say anything, but I'm going to put words in Jordan's mouth that we'll probably be doing a roll for shoes and some other things. So, yeah, we are going to do some great times with the Extra Life. So, unfortunately, we're not doing the Tabletop Appreciation Day Extra Life. We just didn't have time to put something together for that. So we're going to do it on the regular day probably or right around there. So that's in November. So keep an eye out for information as we go towards that. Thanks, Faquad, for pointing that out. Yes, Sungrowler, Sax, and Sam Proof are my boys behind the screen, and they help do several of the shows and take some of the load off of me for that. So I appreciate that. But even with them, we're limited. They can only do a couple shows. So for Extra Life goes to children's hospitals. And specifically, we'll be playing for the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. So, but any Extra Life, a lot of the Extra Life, it's generally for local children's hospitals, for other people's children's hospitals. So that's the main thing. It's the Miracle Hospital Network, I think. Miracle Children's Hospital Network is the big thing. So, it's for the kids. So it's a big deal for us. We like it. But yeah, it's our last probably marathon for the year, and our last charity marathon, and so it's a big deal for us. So we're looking forward to that. Let's see what else. I don't know if you guys have questions. I know we've been getting since Gen Con and stuff. It's been a little hectic, and we've been trying to get some things kind of back up and running, and the XP thing has sort of been taking a lot of my time, so I feel like I've been missing your comments and suggestions and everything. So if you have anything for us, please let me know. Patreon only stuff, I don't have anything specifically yet for Patreon only stuff, although we are nearing the completion of Amy's album, so Patreon backers will have almost the complete album probably in the next couple of months or so. So there's that. I am looking into doing a Patreon backer only like weekly show for you guys, so, or bi-weekly, something like that. Just got to find a time to do it, really. So that works for a lot of people. So we'll get to it. Yeah, Calix, I'll explain a little bit more about the XP. So you earn XP by watching the stream, by following us on Twitter, following us on YouTube. You earn XP through a number of different ways. And you can spend that XP. XP is free to earn. All you have to do is watch our show, watch any show that we do here, and you earn XP. And the XP can be spent on any show. It doesn't have to be spent on the show that you've earned the XP in or whatever. And you can use that to influence our shows, our games. You can give people rerolls or heal a player or add a bad guy or add a good guy to help them fight, or make a player or make a character take Adderall so that she gets really, really hyper, or give a character PTSD, things like that. A bunch of different things that you can do for different games. You can also donate cash, and the system that we use for the cash donations is Twitch Alerts, which has updated their stuff so that you can use credit cards now. You don't have to use PayPal. You can use it direct through credit cards. However, I do ask, if you do credit cards, make sure to leave your Twitch user handle in there so that I can see them. It doesn't capture it the same way it does with PayPal donations. So it helps keep the record keeping clean. Yeah, so there's that. So yeah, you can. We have a pretty intense, complicated system for influencing our games. So we want you guys to feel like you're playing with us. So that's a big component of our channel. So I hope you enjoy that. Yeah, PayPal's fine. However you want to do it. The cool thing about Twitch Alerts is that they're basically opening up for many different people around the globe. Basically, they're making it easier. PayPal's not as easy in some countries as it is in like North America. So they're opening it up to a bunch of different systems, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, that's cool, Calix. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll let your friends know. That's what we do here. Yeah, if there's new people in chat that haven't watched our channel before, we play a bunch of different games here, not just D&D, but we play Call of Cthulhu, we play Star Wars, the Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG. We play Dark Sun, a dungeon world. Basically, it's the Dark Sun campaign setting using Dungeon World RPG rules. We play the new Phoenix Dawn Command, which is the new game from Eberron creator and Gloom creator Keith Baker, and who was just at PAX introducing a new game. And we do Fallout 4, and we have a game on Monday nights called Monday Night Dungeon Fight, which is a game created by Tom Lommel, aka the Dungeon Bastard, using what's called the Rage Engine, the really awesome gaming engine, and that's a lot of fun too. So if you like something like BattleBots or American Gladiators and D&D, that is the perfect system for you. And the championship game is next Monday. So a week from today, the championship game, our 4 winners from the previous qualifying heats will be back and competing against each other for the awesome trophy that was built by Sungrowler. So definitely check that out. Oh, cool, Calix. Yeah, that Geek and Sundry post. Yeah. talking about the old Phoenix Dawn command. We have an exclusive deal with Keith. Not really exclusive. I'm sure he'd let someone else do it. But Keith came and GM'd for us a couple weeks ago, and we're going to be doing some tutorials on the system as well. So yeah. Yes, if we do Twitch partnerships, yeah, we'll be doing the cheers and stuff too. The thing with the cheering is actually less of your money goes to the Twitch partner, as it were, than if you just straight up donated. No, it's not a huge differential, but the more you donate, the less money goes to the person. You have to donate more in order for that to sort of hit. So yeah, that's a trifle. It's not a big deal, but I can't help but mention it. It hasn't quite taken off, I think, the way that people wanted it to take off. So yes, Ivan was one of the early folks. If you watch Foreververse on Geek and Sundry, Ivan was a co-host along with Amy Vorpal, who's also on Foreververse, of our Pathfinder tutorials. There goes that dungeon. It's something like 1 cent per cheer, but you can't. I mean, there's a bottom line. I think 100 cheers is something like $1, but we don't get $1. There's a fee. There's something of a fee that's taken out, or you have to add a fee. Something like that. I haven't ever done the cheer system for a channel, so I'm not 100% sure. But I had the where is it here? I had the numbers of what the conversion rate was for cheers and how much it actually equates to. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Oh, yeah, here we go. So if you want us to receive $1, if you sent via PayPal, it's $1.34 because they charge 34 cents in fees. If you send it via Twitch, it's $1.40 because it's 40 cents in fees for a 100-bit package. That's for the bits, the cheers. So scaling up to $250, if you want to give us $250 on PayPal, you'd give $257.78 because that's how much the fees are, is $7.78. On Twitch, it's $58 in fees. So it's $308 for 25,000 bits. So there you go. That's sort of how that works. I don't think it quite is working out the way they wanted it to, but I sort of back up and I go, like, money is money. I just don't want you guys to be spending, like, why spend $300 or whatever? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's just where it comes from for me. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, I don't know. What else? What's going on with you guys? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have too much more that I wanted to have sort of a direct, because it's been a while since we've chatted and we've had one of these proficiency checks, that I wanted to just talk to you guys just sort of one-on-one and let you know sort of what's going on. I'm sure I'm going to have more news in a couple of weeks when I'm back and we've had our big meeting here and we start talking about fall shows and stuff like that, and the new things that we want to start releasing. So yeah, you'll probably see some things heading out in the old Twitterverse. Yes, James, just rewind and there we go. Yeah, we'll figure out. We'll meet at Union Station. You just hand me a big envelope full of cash. I'll stuff it inside my coat pocket and go from there. What can be wrong with? There's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with that. But anyway, that's sort of what's going on here. Just some little housekeeping bits that I wanted to get through. Oh, we are finalizing. You might have seen Mason put together a Barky's Brigade video game using the RPG Maker. It's pretty fun. It's a little fun little JRPG kind of action, and Patreon backers will be able to check that out soon. We're just ironing out a few bugs, so probably in a month or so, we'll have something that you guys can download and play and get some of the Barky's action in for yourselves. It's not big. It's not long. It doesn't take anything. It's no fantasy or Final Fantasy, but it's a kick in the pants. I'll say that. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll ask Mason if he wants you guys to be beta testers or not, or if he just wants you guys to have final say. How do you mean mixing stuff, Calyx? Impossible or non-canon cameos? Can you explain that a little bit? James, I was talking about we're not doing a Alzheimer's stream in October. We're doing Extra Life again, which we do every October or November whenever they do it. This year we're doing it in November, it's Extra Life is for children's hospitals. So all the donations from that marathon will go towards the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. Yay! But you can also, we'll have links up soon, so you can actually join our team if you want to raise money, and you can raise money for your own children's hospital in your area or wherever you want. And but it all goes towards the general pool, and our team can, win prizes and stuff like that for all of that. So, so that's pretty cool. Oh, I see what you're saying, Calyx. Yeah, we're doing something similar to that. Not exactly like that, but very similar. This Friday, the gang from our Never Tell Me the Odds, which is our Star Wars game, are going to be playing in our Black Bag session, which is our Call of Cthulhu game. So the players are moving over. I don't think their characters are moving over, but the players are moving over. And then the following week, for the Never Tell Me the Odds session, the Black Bag players are playing in the Star Wars game. So there is some sharing there. I will say that Black Bag does have its own shared universe. Every game that's been on Black Bag, one shot or not, is all in the same universe. So the zombie game that we played on that 24-hour stream, that's in the same universe as Black Bag now. So that's the little hint. But yeah, it would be fun to get characters from other systems in together. I don't know how it would work, but it would be fun. Oh, super cool, James. Yeah, just let me know. Let me know. Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome to see you. So Wes is GMing Black Bag on Friday, but he's GMing the Never Tell Me the Odds players. And then the following week, David is GMing Never Tell Me the Odds, the Star Wars game, with the Black Bag players. And then we're back to normal the following week. I don't know how Wes does it either. He's a machine. Wes, are you here? You're a machine. And he knows that. Yeah, not whole cast. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we have room in our studio for a cot, unless they move us to the big studio, and then we might be able to get an extra cot thrown in there. We'll see. We'll see. So we got 5 minutes left. Again, share the streams, share the videos, share everything you can with everyone you know. Get the word out there. Tell your gaming groups. Tell your favorite local gaming store that you love watching this channel. Any words that we can get out there, the better. Be good about it. Be cognizant. Be aware of where you are. Don't go, ruining someone else's stream by saying, "Hey, you should go check out these people." Don't be rude. But yeah, getting it out there really, really helps us so much. And then yeah, exactly. Favorite, like, subscribe, do whatever. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. We are very close. We're over 9,000 now, which thank you very much. When we hit 10,000, that actually opens up a huge avenue for us because we can actually start renting space at the YouTube space. So that means better videos and things like that. We can't do like our streams from there. It's just, it would cost us too much money to try and do that on a regular basis. But for our like one-off sketches and our music videos and things, we can do that at the YouTube space once we hit 10,000 subscribers. So yeah, whatever you can do to help us out. Share everything with people that will like to give Dom money. Yes. Well, you're really giving everyone money. If you were watching, Megan and Jordan are working to upgrade their systems to provide a better streaming experience for you guys, and we want to help them out with that. And just do better. Just do better. We can always do better. We can always have better shows. So we want to do more. And doing more, we can bring more people on. That means that we can do more shows. So if you want to see more things from us, sharing and supporting us in any way, backing our Patreon, however you want to do it is really the best way to keep that happening. The YouTube space is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. And being able to use it on a semi-regular basis would be a big deal for us. So that would really be cool. I'll talk to Keith about Phoenix Down Command shipping. I have nothing to do with that. We don't see any money from Phoenix Down Command, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and I'm glad that you are watching that stream. Yes, classic business models. Yes, the Caves Collarman duo are definitely have their eyes on better systems. So I think it's going to be cool. We'll get overlays and all these other cool bits and pieces in there. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Anyway, that's about it for me. Thank you again for joining me. Thanks again to my guest today, Brian Feister of Open Legend RPG. Check him out. Check out that whole system. If you guys are interested in it, it's a really, really cool way of integrating a character concept and making it real and working within a mechanic of a game. So definitely check it out, openlegendrpg.com. And yeah, it's going to be cool. So tomorrow we've got Jordan is back, Adventures in Adventuring. I think he's starting Quest for Glory and in the point and click realm. So you want to tune in for that. And then Tyler should be streaming with his 5-year-old Henry. They're going to be playing probably, I don't know, Hearthstone maybe. He might be trying to teach some more Hearthstone, Lego, stuff like that. Wednesday, we're back with Barky's Brigade, and this Wednesday, actually, Garav, who plays Ruckus P. Fizzlebottom, is going to be GMing. So that's going to be exciting. He's going to be GMing sort of a backstory, semi-story continuation of the Ruckus P. Fizzlebottom tale. So you're definitely going to want to watch that. And then Friday, like we've been talking about, it is Black Bag, but it is Black Bag with the Never Tell Me the Odds crew. So our Star Wars cast will be on our Call of Cthulhu show playing Call of Cthulhu. So that will be fun. And then Saturday we've got Dark Sun and we have Phoenix Dawn Command. So yeah. What was last week? Yes, Gaurav is GMing this week. Oh, and then in a week from today is the championship bout for Monday Night Dungeon Fight with Tom Lommel. So you're definitely check that out. We've got 3 people from Phoenix Dawn Command are in the finals, plus Alex Escobar, who won season 1 of Monday Night Dungeon Fight. So it's going to be a battle for the ages. You're definitely going to want to check that out. That is next week, Monday at 7:30 p.m., 10:30 Eastern. Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so just to clarify for Tiz Fuzzy, last week we played Never Tell Me the Odds, Star Wars. This week we're going to be playing Black Bag, Call of Cthulhu, but with the Never Tell Me the Odds cast. So that's how that's working. And then the following week it's going to be Star Wars with the Black Bag cast. See, that's how that works. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and watching. Again, thanks to my guest, Brian Feister, Open Legend RPG. Follow me. I'm at Gadzuk on Twitter or at Saving Throw Show. Saving Throw Show on Facebook, Saving Throw Show on Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, Google+, whatever the heck you want to use. That's where you can find us. So thanks very much for tuning in, and you guys are awesome, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for more Proficiency Check. Otherwise, I will see you in the chat room. Bye!